What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with Ali Edward, who placed 7th at this year's Dubai Pro Show. Now, in my opinion, a very disappointing finish by him, considering the fact that he was being seen as one of the breakout stars, or the dark horse going into this show. But the judges saw him otherwise. Now, Ali Edward did the best he could. In order to move up those ranks, he came in bigger, he brought more size, more freak factor. The most muscular on this guy was looking totally insane. But we have to realize that the top 5 guys here, they were all former Olympians. And not just any Olympians, some of the top Olympians. Yes, him not being able to beat Rubiel, when everyone saw that Ali was in a much better condition, then Rubiel, that is a concerning point for him. Now, even though not placing in the top 6, that was disappointing. But even then, everybody saw his amazing talent and his true potential. So he's very round, very 3D, amazing skin texture for bodybuilding. And the thickness that he was missing last year, he brought that up big time. Now many people in that arena, they had this feeling that Ali did not get a fair look by the judges, and he deserved a better place than top 7. Now, based on the pictures and the videos, the only one thing that we can say about Ali Edward here is that he could have been a bit more tighter, especially in the back department in the lower half. He could have had more detail in the hamstrings and the glutes. But still a very good showing by him, and looking forward to seeing him on the stage in the coming weeks. Now let's talk about Rubiel Mosquera, top 6 at this year's Dubai Pro, and easily one of the most freakiest bodybuilder on the planet. So the notice has been served at this year's Dubai Pro, because everybody in this lineup, they would have been at a risk if Rubiel was in that same condition as those top 4 guys. Now for someone who carries that kind of size, that kind of muscle mass, him controlling his midsection at all times, that is a great thing to see, and that just goes to show us that Rubiel put in a lot of effort into posing and presentation for this show. Now Rubiel wasn't even close to being among the top 5 guys in terms of the condition and the detail that he brought. So just imagine him going through another 4 to 6 weeks of dieting, where he continues to dig deep and bring out more detail. I don't think anyone has the mass to overmuscle him on the stage or even stand next to him. Now even if he decides to downsize and lose a bit of that freak factor, in order to bring out more detail, more conditioning, he's still gonna be one of the biggest guy in any lineup. So the big issue with Rubiel, that is the lack of detail in the lower half, especially when he turns around for those back shots, the lack of suppression in the quads. That is definitely a genetic thing, but we can assume that the more he diets, the more he continues to dig deep, the more detail he's gonna acquire, and his skin texture is gonna become even more impressive and even more skinless. Nevertheless, this was Rubiel at the age of just 29. And even if we just think about that, that takes a second to digest. That how someone who is that young had such kind of freak factor and such kind of muscle mass. Now Rubiel can have great future as an IFBB pro if he accepts the fact that he has to do very hard diet for most part of the year.
You know what, I will say, looking back at like pictures and videos, I think prettiest physique, I'll give it to myself, 100%. But when you look at William from the side or even in the back, he has a lot of muscle back there, very dense.
So the Predator Tonio has spoken after his 3rd place finish at this year's Dubai Pro. And can we take a second to appreciate him being very humble, even in front of his own audience. Normally what we see in majority of the bodybuilding contest, nobody's happy with the placing that they get. Now you guys must have also observed that time after time. But Tonio wasn't just very satisfied with his placing, and that was 3rd, but he was very happy. And he openly gave props to William Bonac and Behrouz Tabani, the 2 guys who beat him, pointing out their strengths. So this...
Man, you know what, I'm definitely happy with my placing. And I say that because, you know, even though it wasn't, you know, the big check or the gold medal, I still got to come to Dubai and, you know, I've never seen this before.
So this kind of behavior is very commendable, especially after a show. And although Tonio Burton, he kind of fell short of his own expectations, but the message was sent loud and clear that as Tonio Burton continues to put on more quality muscle mass, more muscle tissue, and while doing that, if he can maintain those same aesthetics, his beautiful lines, he's a Dexter Jackson in the making. And we have to keep in mind, there was only a difference of 1 point between him and William Bonac. So I think he weighed somewhere in the 220s, which is like a 10 pounds jump compared to last year. While at the same time, he just keeps on bringing that same sharp and very conditioned look. Now I for one cannot wait to see how much more improvements Tonio Burton can make in the next 16 weeks before the Olympia this year. Now let's take a look at what has been going on outside of Dubai Pro Show. Here we have none other than Andrew Jacked, looking very round and very 3D for 16 weeks out from this year's big show. Now Andrew has to make some smart decisions. He should have competed at this year's Dubai Pro, as he lives and trains there, plus he could have been the clear favorite to win this show and earn a big paycheck. And that is something that really matters, because so far he has been unable to get such a big payday, both at the Olympia and the Arnold. Now the judges have been kind of unclear about Andrew Jack and what they want from him. At the Olympia last year, they said they want to see him in a better condition. So he brought better condition at this year's Arnold. And then they said they want to see more size, especially on his quads. And the biggest critique on Andrew at this past Arnold, that wasn't on his side shots, that he doesn't have enough mass. It was on his legs, from the front, looking a bit downsized, especially in comparison to how they looked at Texas Pro last year, which was undoubtedly his best ever. And those bubbly quads are one of the major factors why he has such a crazy X-frame, such insane V-taper. Now Andrew has some crazy body parts, which are in a league of their own. For instance, his chest and his abs. Now it can be argued that these two muscle groups on Andrew Jack, they are the best in the men's open bodybuilding. So looking forward to what kind of a package and what kind of improvements he brings this time around at the Olympia this year. And will he finally be a contender to fight for those top 3 spots? Next up, we have an update from Terrence Ruffin. So Terrence has been impressing the bodybuilding world with his 1-year transformation. And here comes another one, a comparison of 12 weeks out from this year's Pittsburgh Pro versus right now at 16 weeks out of the biggest bodybuilding show of the year. Now Terrence is growing at a very fast pace. He's looking leaner, but at the same time, he looks way harder and way denser. So Terrence won the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro, and that was like 6 weeks back. And he has been absolutely logged in for the upcoming Miss Olympia, and this has to be one of the most important Olympias of his career. So if he keeps on growing at this pace, he might come in very close to his classic physique weight cap. And that of course means he's gonna come in the biggest he has ever been. Now there are multiple guys in classic physique division who have insane amount of density and muscle maturity. But Terrence is kind of unique in his own way, that he has both amazing aesthetics, and in terms of his size, there are very little gaps in his physique. So the New York Pro this year was easily the best look of his entire career. But he knows he can add more hamstrings to be even more complete. So Terrence is the only guy in this year's Classic Physique Olympia lineup who has 10 years of experience in this category. He was there when Classic Physique was first introduced back in 2016. And just looking at that physique and compare that to today, that just goes to show us how far he has come. So what do you guys think? Is he the favorite to challenge Mike Sommerfeld at the Olympia this year? So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.